Let's talk about logical operators. And in particular, we'll talk about and, or, and not. And or are called connectors, and not is the negation operator. You might have studied these in math class, or if you took a proofs or discrete math class. And if you did, you probably used truth tables. If we have two inputs, x and y, there are four possible combinations of the Boolean values true and false. X could be true while y is false. X could be true while y is true. X could be false while y is false. And x could be false while y is true. Let's see what happens when we apply the logical operators in each case. When we connect two Boolean values with the AND operator, the result is only true if both of the values are true. X and y both need to be true for the result x and y to be true. So in this case, where x is true and y is true, x and y is also true. In the other cases, x and y is false. X or y is a little more flexible. As long as either one of these or both is true, then the result x or y is true. So on the first line, x is true, but y is false. But one of them is true, so the result is true. If both x and y are true, well, it's still the case that one of them is true, so the result is true. Incidentally, there's another operator called XOR, or XOR, which is short for exclusive OR, in which this case would be false. On the last line, y is true, but x is not, but the result is still true. The only case where x or y is false is if both values are false. And the operator not simply flips the Boolean value. So if x was true, not x is false. And if x is false, not x is true. Let's see how that plays out in a program. We have a dictionary of animal classifications here, and we've asked the user to name an animal. Let's make a quiz out of this. We'll ask the user for the classification of their animal, and then we'll check two things in one statement. First, we'll check whether their animal is in our dictionary, but we also want to know whether the classification was correct. In other words, does the classification that the user gave match the value in animal classes associated with the key animal? Our two lines here are going over the 79 character mark, but we'll come back and fix that in a minute. So if both of these cases are true, we'll print, "You got it." Otherwise, we'll let them know that either we don't know about their animal or the classification is incorrect. In reality, we'd probably want to split this up into two cases, but here we're just trying to demonstrate the use of the AND operator. Before we run this program, let's get these lines into PEP8 conformity. Remember that since our string is enclosed in parentheses, we can just break it up without worrying about a continuation character. On this line, however, we don't have any grouping symbol. We'll split the line up here at the end, and PyCharm adds the continuation character for us. I'm going to add a space just to make it look a little nicer. Okay, let's run our program. I would like to try the animal cat, and I know that that's a mammal. It tells me I got it right. That's because both of these things were true. Cat is a key in our dictionary, and mammal matches the value for that key. Let's try finch, and let's guess that that's a mammal also. So it tells me I got that wrong, because while finch is in the dictionary, mammal doesn't match the value associated with finch, which is bird. So the first part of the clause is true, but the second part is false. True and false equals false, so the condition failed. Instead of printing you got it, we went to the else block and printed either I don't know that animal or you got it wrong. In this case, I got it wrong. We could also demonstrate an animal that we don't know. It's true that a dog is a mammal, but it's not in our dictionary. Let's write a program that checks whether a given animal is an egg-laying animal or not. And we'll use this to demonstrate the OR operator. We know that mammals do not lay eggs, but birds, amphibians, and reptiles do. This is going to be a long statement. We're going to check for all three conditions. We used OR actually twice here, so if any of these three comparisons is true, the result will be true, and the if block will execute. I've gone over my 79 character limit, so let's break this line up. We'll give our program a try. So I'm going to choose a crow, and it tells me that that animal lays eggs. If I choose a cat, I don't get that message. Let's make sure it works for turtle. And finally for frog. Of course, we've ignored the duck-billed platypus. So we knew that there were three different classifications that lay eggs, and we used the OR operator to connect them. We could have done this more succinctly by knowing that we have just one classification that does not lay eggs. So instead of using the OR operator, I'll use the NOT operator. In other words, if my animal is not a mammal, then it lays eggs. We'll run the program and then come back and talk about it. I'm going to name crow. And I'm told that that animal lays eggs. Let's look at the comparison. In this case, the animal variable contains the string crow. I look up crow in my animal class's dictionary, and I get bird. Next, Python does the comparison between bird and mammal. They're not equal, so the comparison evaluates to false. But not false equals true. Therefore, the full comparison of not animal classes animal equals mammal becomes true. The if block is executed, and my statement is printed out. For completeness, let's add an else block. There's another way we could have done this. We have a not equal operator, so instead of negating equality, we can check for inequality. The exclamation point followed by the equal sign is not equal. So if these two things are not equal, the comparison evaluates to true. I said we would come back and look at protecting our program in the case that the user enters an animal that's not in our dictionary. And we'll do this in a different way so we can see another application of the not keyword. I could say, if not animal in animal classes. Here I'll use the keyword continue because I don't want to break out of the loop, but I also don't want to get an error on the next line. Remember that continue jumps back and starts the next iteration of the loop. So this works. But one of the features of Python is its readability, and this doesn't really read very well, if not animal in animal classes. Of course it works because we can do this test and then negate the result of the test. But it's a little more natural to say if animal not in animal classes. So that works as well.